Hello friends, Techman Pat here, coming to you from a house that looks like the aftermath of a sandcastle collapse, a backyard dog parade and 3 spilled coffees, all in one. And if you're sick of barefoot footprints, muddy paws, and that meh mop pad robot that just smears the mess instead of lifting it, you're in the right place. Because today we're putting the new Roborock Qrevo Curv 2 Flow to the test. A roller mopping robot that promises to scrub like a Floor Pro and mop like a mini spa, all while you do whatever it is you'd rather be doing than cleaning. So if you enjoyed this home appliance content, let me know in the comments below. You can also tap the subscribe button to support us. Let's get started by rolling the intro. Imagine a summer Saturday, the kids tracking in sand from the sandpit, muddy paw prints from the dog, and a backyard barbecue sauce stain near the sliding door. Now, the Qrevo Curv 2 Flow promises to tackle all that with minimal fuss. It's Roborock's latest roller mop robot vacuum, succeeding last year's dual pad curve model. And in fact, Roborock calls it their first robot with real-time self-cleaning mop technology, meaning it keeps its mop fresh as it cleans, plus a very clever AI and smart dock. Roborock has positioned this for a busy and most of all, messy home. So let's get the obvious out of the way. It's a premium machine. Here in Australia, it retails for $2,500. So yeah, first car prices. But it does come with a whole laundry list of hero features and even a free wet dry vacuum in the launch promo, which I'll put the links below. But let's talk about the real world use. First of all, the SpiroFlow roller mop. Instead of a flat pad like most robots, this one has a long spinning roller covered in a microfiber layer. It spins at up to 220 RPM, and that is a lot for a robot. And even has built-in water jets, 8 tiny little nozzles that feed fresh water evenly across the roller, and a scraper that wipes off the excess water so it stays just damp. And in practice and my testing, the roller just continuously rinsed itself. It soaks up the water, it spins, and pushes the dirty water into a separate tank inside the robot. It did a solid job on common spills around my house. Mulberries that were crushed and stomped in, ketchup, coffee spills, even sticky pasta after the kids said they didn't want to eat dinner. Now, Roborock claims the Curv 2 Flow applies 2.5 times more downward pressure than normal mopping. In plain English, it pushes really hard on the wet stains, hence the scrubbing. But overall, I found that to be mostly true, which is a good thing. And in my testing, the roller lifted coffee stains impressively, even when they were dry. And if it did not, the AI enabled it to return to the exact spot and do a double clean. That is the power of AI with these robots. It just knows where the dirt is on your floor. The feature is called Dirt Detection. In simple terms, the robot can sense if it hits a particularly dirty patch, like spilled coffee, and will circle back to scrub it again. Sometimes it just spent way too long cleaning that patch. Like, mate, move on, you've got a whole house to do. And it's worth noting that Roborock took privacy seriously. Even if it's got the AI and it's using the technology to understand your home, the cameras are off by default and it only used with permission. And yes, it even works with the Roborock app and voice assistants like Alexa, Google, and Apple. Another neat trick this bot has is the roller shield. As the robot moves from let's say a tiled floor onto a carpet or rug, the roller and its mop lifts up around, I think, 14 millimeters, and a tiny shield pops up and flips down to front of the roller to block any chance of your carpet or the other floor touching the roller. The idea is to block the moisture and dirt from reaching the rugs that it's going to go across when it vacuums. And in my testing, it worked exactly as promised. The roller avoided touching the rug completely, and of course, not only was it out of the way, it was shielded. It's a really nifty feature. After all, you don't want your robot dragging wet pads across nice plush carpets. The roller is mounted so it can extend outwards by about 4 centimeters and reach right up to within 10 millimeters of the edge. And in practice, that means no more sneaky dust bunnies hiding exactly where the wall meets the floor. It even has a tiny side brush on each corner to sweep debris into the roller's path. Of course, it still can't physically get behind every chair leg or the very corner of a square room, but it's better than many vacuum mop combos out there. But let's not forget about the numbers, because they do matter, and that 20,000 pascals of suction puts the Qrevo Curv 2 Flow at the upper end of the market. That's enough to handle pet fur, cereal bits, and sand that inevitably drifts in off bare feet. Now, in my test, it picked up the fine debris and even rice grains on hardwood floors and fluffy rugs. The carpets looked very clean, leaving little robot tracks and looking very fresh, lovely to walk on, just the way I like it, in fact. Now, to achieve this, underneath it uses Roborock's Duo Dive brush. Simply a split cylindrical brush and dual side brushes. And I cannot understate how nice it is to have dual brushes on the side. It really means there's a wider area that the robot can collect debris from on your hardwood floors. It also boasts a certified dual anti-tangle system, which means there's brushes that are shaped like combs to cut hair and fur as they collect it. And in normal use, we saw very little hair wrapping around the brush. A long dog hair just went straight up the bin anyway. Now, when the Curv 2 Flow returns to the multifunction dock, this dock 4.0, it's a new one, it doesn't just charge and empty dust, it washes, rinses, dries, but don't take that as praise. I think it's expected at this price point. So after a mopping session, the base fills the rollers with hot water up to 75 degrees Celsius, and that's according to Roborock. But it spins it under a cleaning tray, and any stuck on grime is loosened, then warm air around 55 degrees dries the roller, so it's mold and smell free. There's even a separate dirty water drain, so gunk goes to the bin, not back onto the robot. So what does that actually translate to in real life? Well, I didn't find any old grime setting in or mildew smells on the roller. It generally came back as if new each time for at least a week. I would say and recommend giving it a decent clean every 1 to 2 weeks. And while researching this bot, I read a press release that brags a 99% bacterial removal rate from this process. Now, I didn't get a chance to test it, but you know, that's heat. I know heat can do that, but we don't have a lab to test it. But it does mean minimal effort on your part. Just make sure you also empty the dock's tray and clean it occasionally. And as expected, the dock also auto empties. And according to the documentation, it does say 65 days, but it will say it's probably more like 30 to 35. And that's still plenty of time, especially if you have a dog, it's gonna fill up pretty quickly with all that fur. Lastly, space. The final frontier. The dock is big, nearly half a meter cubed, so make room for it, but at least it looks cool, like a mini space dock instead of another dull plastic box cube. Like, I like some of the designs, but this is actually unique, which is really nice to see. Now, the Curv 2 Flow uses LIDAR navigation to map rooms precisely. It builds a layout of your home in the app, and of course, it supports multi-floor mapping. In my testing, it planned efficient routes and even remembered where I had the no-go zones, like under the desk with the cable spaghetti. It also boosts reactive AI obstacle recognition, meaning the cameras and sensors spot common objects day or night. You see toys, cables, pet balls, and it completely avoids them. So overall, my home feels very clean after deploying the Curv 2 Flow to work. It has done a very incredible job thus far. However, it's not magic. Some corners remain a challenge for any round robot. It still misses the very edge of 90-degree corners, even with the adaptive mop and brush. Also, while it's quiet for a vacuum, 60 to 63 decibels in balance mode, it's not silent, and at max power, it's like a loud hairdryer. So it's best to run it when you can ignore it or just not be home. One more thing. At $2,500, this is a substantial investment, but know that Roborock has been great at their after-sales service with a decent warranty. Overall, you're paying for all the bells and whistles here and of course convenience. So if you really want top-notch automatic mopping and vacuuming in a single device, this is one of the few that competes, while also looking the part. I think it's fair for me to call the Qrevo Curv 2 Flow the benchmark device in this price range. And in my view, if you want one and you see it during a sale, I think then it should be a pretty easy pickup. Friends, thank you very much for watching. Let me know your thoughts below. Big thanks to Roborock for sending the device and sponsoring this overview. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.